This is the Good Samaritan Ventilator for the COVID-19 emergency. I'm Dr. Robert Ben Mitchell. I'm an osteopathic physician in Southeast Florida. You can reach me at this address. This is my phone number, and my website is trapman.com. I first want to talk about some important notices regarding what I'm going to show you today about this ventilator. It is not FDA approved, and it has not been tested by any organizations or institutions. It's not a toy. It can cause harm or death if it's used improperly, and it is for adult use only. It is very important that you read the entire manual that we'll talk about later, including all the safety precautions. And this is probably most important, that you buy new equipment. Don't use an old, used, or refurbished vacuum cleaner you might already have around the house. It could be full of dust, dirt, particles, bacteria, mold, and if you turn this ventilator on using old equipment or dirty equipment, all that stuff will end up in your lungs and cause damage and harm to you. So please, whatever you do, be sure you buy all new equipment. Now, USA Today on the 8th of this month had an article by John Bacon titled "The Bridge Between Life and Death, Most COVID-19 Patients Put on Ventilators Will Not Survive." And in that article, they quoted the governor of New York, Andrew Cuomo, as saying that he estimated only 20% of the coronavirus patients placed on ventilators will ever come off. The point here is that 80% of the people put on ICU ventilators don't make it. They're just too far gone at that point. So how do you end up on an ICU ventilator? Well, you get infected with the COVID-19 virus, you have early symptoms of illness, so you self-isolate, and then during self-isolation, if you have worsening symptoms, which not everybody does, but a certain percentage of people will, those people with worsening symptoms are the ones who will end up in the hospital, where if they continue to worsen, they will be intubated and end up with full ventilation on an ICU ventilator. And 4 out of 5 of those patients, roughly 80%, will die. So our goal here today is to talk about a way to break the chain of events that lead to hospitalization and full ventilation. So the picture we want to see is if you should get infected and have early symptoms leading to self-isolation, when you have those worsening symptoms, you then use the Good Samaritan ventilator at home and hopefully have an improved condition that will not require hospitalization and full ventilation. So in other words, we want to go from this picture where when worsening symptoms happen, you end up in the hospital on a full ventilator, to where when you're at home and have worsening symptoms, you use this ventilator to hopefully prevent you from having to go to the hospital and have this type of an outcome. Now, what is the Good Samaritan ventilator? Well, it is not a full ICU ventilator. It only helps you to breathe in. Full ICU ventilators will help you breathe both in and out. This one only helps you breathe in, not out. Again, it is not FDA approved for any use, and it has not been tested by any organizations or institutions. I have built it myself and I have used it. It works, but I need to let you know it's not FDA approved and it has not been tested. It is a ventilator that you can build for about $55 from 5 parts that you can buy at any Home Depot store. But please know, Home Depot does not endorse or promote this ventilator in any way, shape, or form, and they do not assume any liability for your use of this ventilator. But that said, based on my medical knowledge and experience, it can help with inhalation, blood oxygenation, and removal of mucus and debris from your lung. And that is what we want to use it for, to help you get better and not require hospitalization and full intubation. So, let me take these off. How do you build a Good Samaritan ventilator? Well, the first thing you want to do is to download this manual from my website, and it's free. There's no charge to download this manual. And this is what my website will look like when you get there. At the top, it'll have the most recent date that I updated the website with COVID-19 information. And if you scroll slowly down, you will come to big red letters, and the first one will say the Good Samaritan Ventilator Manual on how to make it for $55. And just tap on that and you will download this 7-page manual with all the instructions, of which we are going to go over today, most of that manual. So, once you've downloaded the manual, please read all of it before you do anything and go over all these sections. The safety precautions, the introduction where I explain why I did this, who should consider using this ventilator, when should you use this ventilator, how often should you use this ventilator, when should you stop using this ventilator, the 5 parts you need to buy, how to make this ventilator, how to actually use the ventilator, how to adjust this ventilator, advantages of the ventilator, disadvantages of the ventilator. For further assistance, which is where my contact information is in the manual, if you have questions, pictures of the ventilator, and examples of breathing exercises that you can do with this ventilator to help you clear your lungs of mucus and debris. For the rest of this video, we're going to focus on these 4 sections here. So, let's start off with, what do you buy to make this ventilator? Well, the first thing you're going to need is a 5-gallon bucket that you can get at any Home Depot. Cost about $9. And again, let me just repeat, Home Depot does not endorse or promote this ventilator. So please don't go to Home Depot and say, where is your ventilator aisle? Because they'll probably think you're crazy, all right? Anyways, first thing, the 5-gallon bucket. Next, a roll of duct tape. Of course, most people already have this at home, so you don't need to buy that if you do. Then you're going to need a 6-foot garden hose. And again, if you want to use new, don't go out in your backyard and cut off the hose you already have there. Now, I brought 2 of them here because it's important that the one you buy has this, what's called a male ending on it. Most hoses have both a male and a female ending on them. Some of these 6-foot hoses come with just female endings, and this won't work because you can't attach this adapter onto this one if it has both ends as female adapters. So please take a moment, look at the hose carefully, make sure it has both male and female, because you're going to use the male to attach this piece onto. Also, you're going to need a double-headed faucet adapter. Now here are 2 different types. This one is made out of brass. This one is made out of zinc. I think this one's about $2. This one is about $8. Either one is fine. The important thing is that they have good valves that work. You can test the valves to see if they both open and close, because this is going to be your regulator when we make the ventilator. And finally, you're going to need a bucket head vacuum, which you can find at any Home Depot. All right, so let's actually make one. First, we're going to attach the faucet head adapter, that's this piece here, to the 6-foot hose. Then we're going to attach the bucket head vacuum to the bucket. Now, the bucket head vacuum comes with the filter that you'll see in a moment. Leave the filter on. And periodically, as you use the ventilator, take it off, clean it with soap and water, let it dry, and then reattach it. Finally, we're going to insert the free end of the hose into the exhaust port of the vacuum. And as you see, we're going to have to cut this end off to do that because this piece is too big to fit into the exhaust port. Finally, we're going to use just a little bit of duct tape to secure the end of this hose to the vacuum. So let's go ahead and do it. First, this. Now, again, check your valves, make sure they work properly. They should open and fully close, both valves. Oh, did I do it right? Yep. Open and close fully. Leave them in the open position when we start. And then you simply take this and attach it onto the end of the hose. Next, we're going to attach the bucket head vacuum to the bucket. And it really is this simple. You'll see the filter is right here, has a rubber band holding it on. Just leave it on there. Simply place it on the vacuum like that, and I like to line up. Actually, I'm going to flip this over first. I like to line up these notches with the handles where they go into the bucket. And you'll see why in a moment. Press down, push in on the clamps to make sure they're nice and tight, so it's all attached. And then your handle comes up and gets locked in. Now, you will find a hose in here. And yes, you could use this instead of this. The only problem is, this is the exhaust port. One of the ends has an angle. So either you have to insert this very forcefully all the way in to make sure there's no exposed part because of that angle. And if there is, you could always put a little duct tape around. And then you would have to duct tape the faucet adapter to the end here. The reason I don't like this is because if your tape comes loose, and you turn the machine on, this piece is going to fly into your face. If you use this instead, you're duct taping this end here, so if the tape comes off, the hose comes out. The piece isn't near you that flies off. So we're not going to use the hose that this came with. Okay, so we want to take the free end, that's the end that doesn't have the faucet adapter on it, and insert it into the exhaust part. Like I said, that won't work. This piece is too big, so you simply cut the end off and place the hose in there. Next, just take a little bit of duct tape, about 8 inches of it, if I can find where it starts. There it is. And I'd recommend using 2 pieces. The first piece is going to go around the outer rim, make a nice tight seal. You want the hose to be sitting about 1 inch inside, about that far inside, okay? So I'm just going to place it underneath on the black rim. I'm going to make a nice, I'm not worrying about this part here, I'm just worrying about this. Nice tight seal with the duct tape. Pull it nice and tight all the way around. All the way around. And again, this end can look nice and messy. Don't worry about that. Just get a nice tight seal there. Press it down real good. And then just push this part down for right now. Okay? Get it as tight on there as you can. It's kind of messy, but it's okay. And this is where our second piece of tape comes in. This piece you're going to use to seal all this mess you end up with, so it's nice and tight and sealed to the hose. So you just come around, put the tape on there, nice and tight, all the way around, nice and tight, all the way around. And so, when we turn this on, if we've done everything right, we should have a nice tight seal here and a nice tight seal all the way through here. So from here to here, there should be very little loss of any air when we turn on the ventilator. And we'll give it a try just to see if it works. Okay, let's make sure both sides are open. They are. Here we go. Okay, so you can see that that works. Now, so we've just, in about 5 or 6 minutes or so, assembled all the parts together. So, how do you actually use this ventilator? Well, again, of course, first please download and read this entire manual, including all the safety instructions. They're on my website. We're going to start by rechecking to make sure both of the valves are completely open. Next, we're going to turn on the vacuum, and we'll feel the air coming out of both ends. You're going to then seal your mouth over one of the ends, which I'll demonstrate in a moment. You'll fully inflate your lungs slowly and comfortably, and this is really important, slowly and comfortably. When you're on an ICU ventilator, it has what's called peak pressure monitoring. So the machine knows just how much air to put into your lungs so as to not put too much air in and damage your lungs. They're like balloons, and you can overinflate them and cause harm. We don't want you to overinflate your lungs. But they're your lungs. You've had them for decades. You know what a nice, slow, comfortable breath is. So that's what we want you to do. Use this ventilator to help you inflate your lungs slowly and comfortably. And again, you're doing this when you're starting to have the worsening symptoms like shortness of breath. But do not overinflate your lungs, as that can cause serious harm or even death. Once you've slowly and comfortably inflated your lungs, you're going to remove this piece from your mouth and exhale. And then you can just repeat steps 3 through 6 as you need to. Seal your mouth onto the device, slowly inflate, not overinflate, exhale. Okay, I'm going to give an example. It's probably going to be a little loud. You may not be able to hear me, so I'm just going to stand up and do this, and you can watch. And feel the air coming out of both sides. I'm going to seal my mouth on this end. Now, this manual goes on to tell a lot more about how long to do this. There are exercises you can do, which we're not going to go over today. But again, please read the entire manual. It'll give you further details. Now, again, we're trying to slowly and comfortably fill your lungs. Notice that I did not close the open end, so a lot of air was escaping there. So for some of you, that may not be enough pressure, and you may need more pressure to inflate your lungs slowly and comfortably. If you need more pressure, if my mouth is on this valve, you will get more pressure by slowly closing this valve. This valve is now fully closed. So if you slowly close this one, more air is going to come out this side forcefully. However, if you find with this valve completely open, it's still too strong for you, your mouth is on this valve, you can simply slowly close it a little bit till you get just the pressure you need. So I'll demonstrate that. First, what if I want more pressure? Both are completely open. Now I've closed this valve, so all the air is coming out here. This will inflate my lungs much quicker and much more forcefully. So you probably will only need to close it partially, but that will give you more pressure coming towards you. And finally, if there's too much pressure, even with this side completely open, you can close down the side your mouth is on, to decrease the pressure coming in. Now, I want to close by talking about other ways you can build this same device. Some of you may not live nearby a Home Depot store, or the Home Depot store you go to may not have these parts at that time. These are pretty common parts, but some stores run out of these every so often. This is the bucket head vacuum I'm using here. It came with the bucket head vacuum that you put on the bucket, the air filter, and the hose that I recommend you don't use. That's roughly $25. Home Depot also has what's called a Stinger. Most Home Depots carry this small vacuum also. It comes with the vacuum already attached to a canister, so you wouldn't need to buy the bucket. It also has a hose, which I recommend you don't use, and it comes with an air filter and a rubber band to attach it with. This one is the same power. This Stinger is the same power as this vacuum at 1.75 peak horsepower. But this unit runs about $35. The difference between buying this with the canister and this, where you have to buy the vacuum and the bucket separate, is only about $1 or $2. But it's an option you can consider. And then there are other vacuums that Home Depot carries, like the Backmaster. Again, same idea. It's a small vacuum, comes with a hose I recommend you don't use. There is a filter inside of this it will come with. It is $35 roughly. It is slightly stronger. It is 2 horsepower, okay? I don't think most people are gonna need one this strong. And again, you wanna be careful. You wanna inflate your lungs slowly and comfortably. So this may be more power than most people need. Now, if you're not near a Home Depot, you may go to a hardware store nearby and find other vacuums. Again, whatever you do, buy new, don't use old. All right, my name is Robert Mitchell. If I can be of any assistance, please contact me. My contact information, again, if I can find it, is right here.